गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम महत्प्रधान पुरुषकल्पणे सच्चिदानंद स्वरूपणे नमो नारायणे हरि। कल्याणात्मिकात्रय कामितार्थप्रदने श्रीमद् वेंकटनाथाय श्रीनिवासाय ते नमः। पूज्याय राघवेन्द्राय सत्यधर्मरताय च भजतां कल्पवृक्षाय नमतां कामधेनवे। हरि ओम। ओम चतुर्वेदविदे नमः। The Supreme Lord is the only one who has completely understood the four Vedas in its toto, because the Vedas have emanated from the Supreme Consciousness of the Supreme Brahman. The most beautiful mantra of the Rigveda is Rucho Akshare Parame Vyoman Yasmin Deva Adivishve Nisheruhu Yastan Naved Kim Richa Karishyati Ityadvidas Ime Smasate. In this imperishable Supreme Consciousness of the Supreme Brahman, all the divine powers, all the gods have found their abode. All the knowledge, memory, creative intelligence, all the divine powers, all have emanated, all have come out, all have evolved from the Supreme Consciousness of the Supreme Brahman. So the Supreme Brahman is referred as Sat Chit Ananda. Supreme Brahman is the truth, and that is the Chit, that is the Supreme Consciousness, and that is blissful. And all the four Vedas have emanated from the Supreme Consciousness of the Supreme Brahman. So it is pure, it is totally divine, and it is not, it is called the Apaurishaya, and it is not composed by any human being with limited knowledge, with limited consciousness. And the Vedas are four: Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samveda, and Atharvana Veda. And these Vedas are the backbone of the Hindu culture. And the Vedas are the first to have emanated from the Supreme Lord when there was no other culture, when there was no other knowledge. It was the first to have come out. And the Vedas declare the supreme knowledge of existence, the supreme knowledge of all divine powers. So to realize, to understand the Vedas is verily to know the secrets of this existence, of this universe, and to become one, to merge our individual consciousness with the Supreme Consciousness of the Parame Yoman, of the Supreme Brahman, Supreme Lord. There are various gods in the Rigveda, and these gods are the divine powers who have evolved from the Supreme Brahman, from the Supreme Consciousness, from the Supreme Lord, who is the unmanifest Parame Yoman. Indra, Agni, Vayu, water, Jala, earth, sun, Vishnu, Rudra, Mitra, Varuna, Ashwini Devatas, Usha, Saraswati, Savit, and various other gods which represents the different aspects of human existence and the worldly existence. And all these gods follow the truth and order, justice and sameness and equality. And the Supreme Lord is also the Mitra Varuna, who punishes those who follow the path of untruth and injustice. So the end portion of the Vedas are called the Vedanta or the Upanishads, which bring out the essence of the Vedas, particularly the Atma Gyan or the Brahma Gyan. The Supreme Godhead, according to the Vedas, is as declared in the Purusha, all the four Vedas, is the Purusha Sukta. The Supreme God is the Purusha, is the Paramatman, is the Supreme Brahman, who is the confluence, who is the vital energy which has no beginning or end, coupled with Supreme Consciousness, Chit, and who is blissful and who is provided with Supreme Creative Intelligence, Sat Chit Ananda Jnanam. So this is beautifully explained by the mantra Mahat Pradhana Purusha Kalrupane Sachidananda Swarupane Namo Narayane Harihi. Sri Hari Narayana, the indicating the Supreme Brahman. His verily forms are four, that is this Mahat, this existence, Purusha, the divine energy, Kala, the time, and all the manifest objects, Mahat Purusha Kala Rupane, and his nature, his Swarupa is Satchitananda, truth, consciousness, bliss. Truth, energy, consciousness, bliss. Truth, consciousness, bliss. This is his inherent nature. So this Mahat Pradhana Purusha Kala Rupane is the Vyakta Brahman, and Satchidananda Swarupa is the Avyakta Brahman, and the both are two aspects of the Supreme Brahman. And this is from this Supreme Brahman, the Purusha have emanated, have evolved, have all the gods, Indra, Agni, Vayu, water, earth, sun, moon, all the stars and all the planets and all the divine powers. In other words, the Supreme Lord Himself has manifested, has expressed Himself through other gods, manifesting different powers and glories. And to explain this, to understand the Vedas are very, very difficult, because it is interpreted in from four aspects. That is, because the same Veda means the structure of the universe, the knowledge of the universe, and it is the same everywhere. It is the same in the microform, it is the same in the macroform, it is the same, it applies the law of the existence, law of the structure, law of the functioning. They all perform as per the truth and order. Rut and Sat is the guiding path. It is the guide of all the movements of this whole existence. Rit is the supreme way, the path based on the supreme truth. Rut and Sat. Sat and Rut. Sat means truth, Rut means order, the methodology. So that is the way the whole existence is established. And to explain these Vedas, there are various others, Brahmanas, Aranyakas, Upanishads, Mimamsas, Brahma Sutra Bhashya. It is very difficult to understand the Vedas, and so the interpretation, various interpretation are introduced called Brahma Sutra Bhashya, which have become more difficult to understand the Vedas itself. We can understand the Vedas but not the interpretation of the Vedas. And the Vedas are interpreted in Adi Yajnika, in our ritualistic, the way they perform the prayer and worship, offering our love and devotion to the Lord, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Brahman. That is the Adi Yajnika. And the way the Supreme Divine forces are established and the way they are for their functioning, they are called the Adi Daivika. And then the Adi Laukika, the whole world of transactions, the world, the human beings follow, the divine forces follow, the worldly way is called the Adi Laukika, and the purely spiritual existence, the way divine forces operate, the way the divine powers are established, the gods are established, how they come down to live in the living beings, in the human beings, and how they perform, how they function following the truth and order, that is the Adhyatmika. So the Vedic mantras are interpreted in these four ways, which are difficult to understand. To grasp the knowledge of the Vedas, we have to grasp the meaning from various aspects. Though they appear to be different, being interpreted from different perspectives, they are all same, and the ultimate, the gift, ultimate fruit of the knowledge of the Vedas is the knowledge, is the open-mindedness, the creative intelligence, love, devotion, strength, joy and bliss. These are verily the gift of the Vedas to those who who follow them, who chant them, who try to understand them with all love and faith and devotion. Sayeta triyam vidyam avyatapata tasyastapyamanaya rasan pravudbhuriti rukmyo bhuriti yajur bhasma swariti samabhyaha. This is what is declared in the Chandogya Upanishad, 4th chapter, 17th section, 3rd mantra. The Supreme Lord contemplated and he expressed the Vedas. The Vedas emanated from his supreme consciousness when he was in Dhyan, when he was meditating. And the essence of this Rigveda is the Bhu, this earth. The essence of the Yajurveda is Bhuvaha, this atmosphere. And the essence of Samveda is Swaha, the outer space indicating the supreme freedom. Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha, this is called the Vyabhutis, or the three forms of the Supreme Brahman who evolved from the Vedas. So it is only the Supreme Lord who Prajapati Brahma meditated and extracted fire from the earth, air from the sky and sun from the heaven, Bhur Bhuva Swaha. He further extracted the Rigveda from the fire, Yajurvedas from air and Samvedas from the sun. He again meditated and extracted the essence of Bhur Bhuva from Rigveda, Bhuva from Yajurveda and Swaha from Samaveda. So the Vedas are verily divine, and it is one of the wonders of the wonder that the Vedas could so well resist the ravages of times and could nourish and give form to the religious and philosophical thoughts of the human being. So the Veda itself is the secret of the Veda. To understand the Vedas, we have to understand from the Vedas itself. The foundation stone that India contributed to civilization, the Veda is said to embody the regulations, the laws of the universe as seen by the gifted persons. So the three parts of the Vedas are Rushi, Devata and Chandas. Rushi is the seer. He is the direct experiencer. So he is called as Rushi. He has seen it. So he has seen the mantras in their actual form, in their manifest form. So the Rishis are called the mantra drushtas, and the Devatas. Devatas are the object of their meditation. The Rishis concentrated, they saw, what they saw is the gods in their pristine form, in their functioning form, in their divine aspects. And what connected the Rishi and the God is the Chandas, the Vedic mantras, the structure of the Vedic mantras. This whole universe is the structure of the Vedas. The human body in the physiological form is the structure of the Veda. The supreme order of this creation, the whole universe, is the structure of the Veda in its magnificence, in its macro form. And the structure of the Vedic mantras itself is in the sound form. They are all one and synonymous. So these Vedas are seen by the gifted poets, prophets are seen, the Rishis, set by them it is, and they expressed it. This is the to us, the Indians, the authority of the Veda is supreme and final. One would naturally like to know about the contents of the Veda. The Veda considerably differs in this respect from all other literature. The Vedas are unique. The Veda is Shruti. So the Veda is the Shruti, not the Shastra. The Shastras have emanated or the product of the Shruti. Shruti is what is transmitted from one sage to the other, from the guru to the seeker to the disciple. And the Shruti has the potential generosity of becoming the source of Shastra. And the Shruti has the plasticity of the material of a perfect form which could, if so desired, be molded into a Shastra. So Shastra is Shruti, the source, and Shastra is the methodology. The contents of the Vedas may be, for the purposes of simplicity, be classified under three broad divisions. The Jnana, the knowledge, is one part. The Karma, the code of conduct, the code of actions or conduct, is another part. And the Upasana, or coming into the proximity of the Supreme Brahman, of the Supreme Self, since we are verily the spark of the Supreme Lord, but we have taken the form of this perishable body to realize and to get back to our original source. That is the purpose of this Vedic knowledge by Jnana and Karma. And it is the spiritual realization. The word Ruk stands for knowledge, the Yajus stands for Karma, and the actions, and the Sama stands for the love of God or devotion or total dedication and surrender to the Supreme Lord. These are the purpose. Ruk is knowledge, Yajus is Karma, indicates the Karma, and Sama is the total surrender. There is no rigidity as to the types of this classification. However, the Rig Veda is the tree, and the Yajurveda, Samveda, and the Atharvana, they are the branches which have emanated from the Rig Veda. The Vedas do not accept the demarcation between the empirical, ephemeral, and mundane world, and the world of absolute reality, transcendence, and spiritual existence. They are one and same. Whatever is born, whatever is mobile or immobile, changing or changeless, the whole of it is the Ishavasya. It is the supreme world of existence, and they are all pervaded by the supreme energy. And when the essence of the supreme Brahman, the Jiva, the Atma, which is the source, it flows everywhere, pervades everywhere, and makes the living entities, brings with it the divine energy and the consciousness. So the entire creation exists within him, and in his extension, he is far beyond the creation, but still inside his creation. This is the paradox. And this makes it, the Vedas give the direction, give the methodology, and gives the explanation. They are not simple commandments. They make the mind to expand infinitely. They give the knowledge, the light to analysis, to subscribe and question everything. So Vedas make the open mind, the knowledge open, the mind open, as large as the infinite existence itself. This is the power of the Vedas. A Vedic knowledge, a Vedic Maharshi, is totally open, not confined to any methodology, not confined to any symbol, not confined to any shape, not confined to anything finite and limited, because anything finite and limited, they are going to disappear, they are going to vanish, they are going to decay. So the Supreme Lord is only worth our worship and adoration. And He is verily one May we know him as one pervading and circumventing. He is not assisted in his supremacy by any 1 second. He doesn't require any support. He is totally independent, or not by any other forces or by any other proofs. So he is the one circumscribing, the one alone, this one ought to know. And all the nature's bounties merge out and become one in him alone. This is the supreme statement of the Vedas. God alone is one, though known as Agni, King, Varuna, Mitra, Aryaman and Amsha. God is also known as Agni, Rudra, Mahat, Asura and Purusha. God is Agni, Dravinoda, Savitral, Deva, Ratnada, the giver of all the wealth. He is one, though seeds call him with various names, such as Indra, Mitra, Varuna, Eka Sadbodha Vidanti. He alone is Agni, he alone is Aditya, one is known as Vayu and Chandrama. These are all the Vedic mantras that declare the oneness of the Supreme Lord manifesting himself in various innumerable forms. And man would understand him better if he is metamorphically described as if he is possessing a body similar to that of a man. So they personify him, they make him an idol and a worship. Because the limitation of the mind, the medium of the mind, the way of the mind is to understand only through names, forms and images. Without the name and form, the mind becomes black. So man has 2 eyes, 1 mouth, 2 arms and 2 legs. The Supreme Lord of ours has, however, innumerable eyes. Though he is innumerable eyes, he is depicted in the human form. And the Chaturvedavide describes the Jeshta Brahman, the Supreme Lord, and his Sarvadhara, all supporting Supreme Lord, as the sun and the moon being his eyes, and all these are declared in the Purusha Sukta in a most beautiful and glorious form. So, the Vedas declare the methodology of the existence in the supremely scientific form, and this is since the Creator knows what is created in essence, and all of us put together cannot understand these Vedas in its entirety. So the Supreme Lord is the Chaturvedavide namah. Om Ekapade Namaha. Om salutations to the Supreme Lord, who has 1 foot only. Though the existence has got 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet, the Supreme Lord in his pristine original form is only 1 foot of Brahman. He is only 1 foot. He is the Supreme Brahman having 1 foot. Salutations to one word Nam, 1 word Om. Om is Ekapada, and he indicates the Supreme Lord. So Ekapade Namaha. So Om is the Ekapada, it is a single word indicating the Supreme Brahman. Even though the Supreme Brahman has 4 feet, he is one and only one. By 1 fraction of mine, I pervade this whole universe. This is what is declared by Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. The Supreme Lord, who is Omkar, though he has several feet, thousands of feet, he is everywhere. He is indicated by 1 foot of Omkar. Kadasamrutam akasham niyamane gateyata gato niyeta na akasham tatha jivo nabopamaha. This is what the Amrita Bindu Upanishad declares. Just as the sky within a jar changes into this over infinite space, but the space itself does not change when it is enclosed in a jar. so also our Jivatma, the soul, the Atma within our body takes the form of the body. And once it is released from the body, it takes the infinite form. And as long as the space is confined within the jar, so also the Atma is confined within the body. And once the jar is broken, the space becomes one. So also the Atma takes the infinite universal form. So, Shabdaksharam Param Brahma Tasmin Kshine Yadaksharam Tad Vidvan Aksharam Dhyayet Avichet Shantim Atmanha. So, this is again the Amrita Bindu Upanishad 16th sloka. It says, Om indicates the Parabrahman, the Supreme Brahman. Though it is just one word, it indicates the Supreme Brahman only. Even after the sound vanishes, we chant Om. We close our eyes, focus our inner vision between our eyebrows, sit erect with stand, neck and back erect, and chant Om. And what is left after the sound vanishes is the Supreme Brahman. And we have to realize that the Supreme Brahman is not any of these things that are manifested, but it is that which makes, which accommodates itself, which houses all the manifest world. And only by true realization, by true knowledge, the human being, the man, we attain total peace. And this Omkar is the Omkar Ekapada. It is the symbol of Parabrahman, the Supreme Brahman, and it is the means of meditation. And even if the sound is not there, only Supreme Brahman remains. And this, the purpose of the Omkar, it is a medium, it is a means to reach the Supreme Brahman. So to start with, we use Omkar to meditate, to focus our mind on the Supreme Brahman, and gradually when the Omkar, the sound disappears, only Supreme Brahman is attained. We become one with that. Nishkalam, Nishkriyam, Shantam, Virvadyam, Viranjanam, Amrutasya Param Setum, Tagdhendanam Iva Analam. This is again the Vishnusahasranama Upanishad, 6th chapter, 19th sloka says, I am only that, I am the eternal part of that which has no defect, which is only one, which has no doership, the cause, and who is peaceful, who is absolutely free from all taints, from all defects, and who is the only bridge for the immortality. And I take shelter, I take refuge in the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord is the supreme bridge. He is the immortal goal, and the first step is the last step. My devotion, total surrender, and my meditation on the Supreme Lord itself is the goal, is also the step. And just as the fire depends on the wood to burn itself and to attain its true form, I take the help of this body. And once the wood is burnt up, once the tree is burnt up, there is neither the tree nor the fire, but only the unmanifest form of the fire remains, of the Agni remains. So this is the beautiful explanation of the realization of the Atma. Atma is the divine fire that burns up everything, and that is the content, that is the fire in everything. The whole universe is its fuel. And when this whole universe is burnt up, what remains is the unmanifest fire. So the Supreme Lord is this unmanifest fire. It is the Agni. He is the Agni. And the Agni combined with this consciousness is the Indra, the Supreme Lord. So the largest number of mantras in the Rig Veda are ascribed to first to Indra and then to Agni. So this body is a means to attain the Supreme Lord, and after the body is destroyed, after the body is used into the full as a fuel, the unmanifest Jiva becomes one with the unmanifest Supreme Brahman, that is the Supreme Divine Energy pervading everywhere. This is the Ekapade Namah, this is the Supreme Lord expressing Himself in the form of Omkar. When the various forms like the jar are broken again and again, the Akasha does not know them to be broken, but He knows. He, the ever-manifest, all-knowing, blissful Self, knows it. So, Om Samavartaya Namaha. Om salutation to the Supreme Lord who has spread equally everywhere. Samoham Sarvabhuteshu. The Supreme Lord indicates the truth and order. Truth is same for all. The truth cannot be different for different people. Knowledge is truth, so the knowledge is same for all. Truth is knowledge and knowledge is truth. And this, all the action, all the methodology, all the things based on truth, they are also same. So whatever the Supreme Lord has created, the air, water, fire, earth, space, food, consciousness, bliss, happiness, pleasure, pain, they are all sleep, waking state, dreaming, they are all same to all the created, to all the human beings, to all His created beings. He effectively wills the wheel of this universe. So He turns it same. The wind, when it blows, it blows till it maintains its same pressure. The water flows till it finds its same water level. The fire, the temperature flows from higher region to lower region till it is equalized. So the Samavartaya Namaha, all the nature, all the powers of the Supreme Lord spread equally and occupy same in everywhere. It has occupied all bodies and beings equally and proportionately. So, though the ant is small, the elephant is huge, the power distribution is according to the body, and the food distribution is according to the size as required by the body, size and dimension. Everything is so beautifully ordained with supreme creative intelligence. It has spread from tip to toe in an elephant, as well as in an ant, and in a fish as well as a shark, and in all human beings, whether a child or a grown-up man. So as it's a beauty to see the child growing up and become an adult. So everything very proportionately increases in size, gains in strength, gains in beauty, and sun rises and sets at appointed time everywhere in all the countries equally, though they are far situated. And seasons arrive in time, food is grown, beings take birth and shape, all as per the supreme order which is the same to all. So the supreme order is the Samavartaya Namaha. There is no chance or failure in the divine order. Whatever defect, whatever changes, they are all caused by the human intervention following the untruth, injustice and disorder. Om Nivrittatmane Namaha. Om salutations to the Supreme Lord, Parabrahman, who is released from all desires. Nivrittatma, he is a retired soul. Our soul is busy, our soul, our jiva, our atma stationed in the body is busy trying to satisfy its desires. Time to time it wants coffee, it wants breakfast, it wants food, It has to run to office or it has to do some work. It is running. It is always bound by itself, by its own goals, achieving nothing for no purpose at all, because it is a prisoner, bound by its own mind, bound by the world, because it wants to attain, because it wants to become, it wants to gain. All these wants, and the soul, the Atma, is a prisoner of its wants. Once we get rid of this want, when we say we don't want anything, we have become free. The Supreme Lord is not short of anything, He doesn't want anything. He is pure, supreme, creative energy with supreme joy and bliss and creative intelligence. He goes on performing, He goes on functioning, He is ever engaged in action, He is ever movement based on truth and order. So the Supreme Self is pure, free from desires and has no function to do. He is the Supreme Yogeshwar, established in harmony and truth. He has no name and no body, no shape and no form, and not attached to anything. He pervades all and supports all, and He is changeless, deathless, fearless Spirit, pervading the Supreme Spirit, and who is the Supreme Purifier. He is the Supreme Purifier. There is no touch me not. Whoever touches the Supreme Lord, whoever enters into Supreme Consciousness, whoever meditates, whoever enters into meditation becomes pure himself. He gets purified himself. His body is established in the order. His mind is dissolved of all its thoughts and impurities, and he becomes pure and is established in the Supreme Truth. The truth takes over. The truth is such a powerful force that when we are quiet, it gradually occupies itself. It is just like the light spreading everywhere. The Supreme Lord is supreme purifying. What all we have to do is stop putting impurities unto ourselves, pouring impurities, running after garbage, filling up our mind and body and our houses with garbage, filling our mind with desires to no end, and the consequent life of misery, pain and misery. See, everything brings its own result. The fire gives out heat and light. The water wets. The air dries up. The food hardens, the earth hardens up everything. So everything has got its own qualities. Accordingly, the whatever object, whatever desire we accommodate in our mind as our wants, as our desires, corresponding qualities of those objects, they are produced verily within ourselves. In other words, we verily become the objects of our desire. We become ugly and we lose our natural countenance of beauty and order. So, one who does not have any desire, one who is composed, one who is tranquil and peaceful, he is established in the truth and beauty which no beautification here gives. Om Durjaya namah. Om salutations to the Supreme Lord who is unconquerable. Who can win the Supreme Lord who is the source of prana and prajna? Who is this? Who can overcome the infinity? Who can exceed the infinite time and space? Other than the Supreme Lord who is Parame Vyoman, who contained everything within himself. So all those who want to exceed and excel God, they are only a part, and a part can never know the whole, and a part can never be larger than the whole. The part is a part, and the whole contains all parts. How is it possible to conquer the Supreme Consciousness, Supreme Intelligence, Supreme Bliss, which is one, limitless and eternal, and He is the Supreme Infinite. Durjaya namah. He cannot. Max Planck says that it is impossible to cross, to go beyond the Supreme Consciousness. The great Max Planck, the great physicist, he has said that consciousness is unconquerable. Durjaya Namaha. All talks of conquer, subjugate, control and rule over refers to the finite and the limited, to the human beings and to the things bound by time and space, and it is always the infinite and the eternal that exists and rules. That is only the Supreme Self, it is unconquered, since that is the Supreme Conqueror. Our Atma is the Supreme Conqueror because it is infinite. Though it is confined in the body, that is the winner, that is the conqueror, that is the fire that burns up everything. To start with, it burns with the body, it burns with its thoughts, and attains total supreme purity. Atma is total supreme purity. Adrena chittadvekam chakara simyam chitvetvena jagana avasraktir vesha vrushchadindraha prayishchad vishwa bhojana sudase. This is the Rigveda mantra 7th, mandala 18th, sukta 17th mantra. It says, it is the Supreme Lord who can make a poor extremely rich. Only by the grace of the Supreme Lord a goat can kill a lion, and only by His grace one can cut a pillar by a pin, and His kindness and strength are infinite, and the Supreme Lord distributes the wealth of the unbeliever, non-believer, to the believer, to one who has faith, who has got faith. And any cruel person always remains within the grip of the Supreme Lord. He cannot escape the grip of the Supreme Lord. He is punished. And nobody can measure the power and glory and the strength of the Supreme Lord. Wherever He is hidden, the Supreme Lord does not leave the unjust and the cruel, and nobody can escape His vision. So this is the Vedic mantra of Durjaya Namaha, unconquerable. The evildoer, the unjust case cannot escape. He will be caught by his own actions. Om Duratikramaya Namaha, Om salutation to the Supreme Lord who cannot be bypassed. So all these Durjaya Namaha, Om Duratikramaya Namaha, Om Durlabhaya Namaha, all refer to the Supreme Consciousness and the Divine Supreme Energy of the Supreme Lord. They are all the power and glory, they all almost mean the same thing. Out of the fear of Him, the sun and the planets keep their courses and the seasons arrive in time. This is what is declared in the Vedas. Everything is afraid. Anything that does not move, anything that does not follow the order, Rut and Satyam, it is destroyed. So everything has to keep its order, everything has to keep moving. Anything that does not move is dead, and indeed immediately it is pounced upon by other insects, creatures, other forces and consumed, eaten up. So they all move out of the fear of their Supreme Lord. And so also the sun burns, the wind blows, the fire burns, the water flows. All these, they are eternal on movement because of the fear of the Supreme Lord. Out of the fear of Him, the sun and the planets keep their courses, and the seasons arrive in time. He, the Supreme consciousness, supreme divine energy, the background and the support for all matter and the spirit to exist. Its other name is sensitivity. The name of this consciousness is supreme sensitivity. Anything that comes into being is felt by the consciousness. Slight wind blows, we experience the movement of the wind. Slight increase in temperature, we experience the increase in temperature. A smallest ant or a small hair that comes on our body, we immediately sense it. Smallest of the thing that comes on our body is felt. This is the virtue of consciousness. This is the virtue of our consciousness. Our all feelings, our taste, smell, sight, touch, our pleasures, our pains, our thoughts, anything of the most subtlest are all grasped, they are all experienced, they are all captured by virtue of our consciousness. And it is the sensitivity of the senses. The consciousness is the sensitivity of the senses. It is the finest and the subtlety of the subtlest. It is the finest of the fine. It senses all things and that exists. Everything exists because of this consciousness. Anything finite and limited that does not move is consumed by the supreme force in fear. All things keep moving. Yadidam kincha jagat sarvam prane jati nishkritam. Yadidam kincha jagat sarvam prane jati nishkritam. Mahadbhayam vajram udyatam ya etad vidur amruta. Yadidam kincha jagat sarvam prana yajati nishkritam. Mahadbhayam vajram udyatam ya etad vidur amrutaste bhavanti. This is the Katha Upanishad says in the second chapter, third section, second sloka. All these have emanated from the Supreme Lord and most because of His powers. Because the most fearful weapon like a lightning, like a thunder, like a lightning, the fear of lightning, the fear of the strike makes everything move. And the power of the Supreme Lord, which is the prana, that itself is the greatest fear for all things that are living. Everyone is afraid of death. Everyone wants to save their lives. Anybody identified with their body and mind and with their finite limited things, anybody identified with their limited and finite existence, they all know because the prana, as long as the prana lives in the body, only they are an entity, and because of the fear of losing the prana, they perform all things. Bhayad agnistapati, bhayad asya agnistapati, bhayad stapati suryaha, bhayad indrascha vayuscha, mrutyur bhavati panchamaha. This is again the Katha Upanishad says, because of the fear of the Supreme Brahman, because of the fear of the Supreme Lord, the fire burns, the sun shines, and because of the fear of the Supreme Lord, the Parjanya Indra sends forth rain to the earth, and because of the fear of the Supreme Lord, the Vayu, the air moves, and because of the fear of the Supreme Lord, even the death occurs. Everything is ordained by the Supreme Lord, because that only finishes up everything. The power of prana and the power of prajna, and the power of joy, these three are the domains, the proprietorship. He is the sole custodian of these three powers, the Supreme Lord. So there is no other power come. All powers all enemies, anything that exists, they all exist by virtue of these powers of prana, prajna and ananda. Nobody wants to lose their prana, the vital force. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to lose consciousness, because the losing consciousness is as well as death. And nobody wants to lose the joy of life, because without joy the life becomes a misery. So this prana and prajna and jnana and ananda, they are the most covetable, and nobody wants to lose it. And the fear of losing these makes everything move about. Om Durlabhaya Namaha. Those who are not devotees of the Supreme Lord, those who are identified only with the limited objects of this world, those who think they are only the body and the mind, those who are ignorant of the Supreme Power of the Supreme Lord, they cannot enjoy any happiness, they cannot enjoy peace and tranquility, because they are always identified with the finite and the limited and the changing, and they are perplexed. So it is very, very difficult to get the grace of the Supreme Lord. Even it is our only duty, our own direction. It is only from our side that we can offer our love and devotion and offer our prayer and worship to the Supreme Lord. That is all what we can do. And what the Supreme Lord, the macro, can do, our Yona Pita Janita Vidata, that is our source. It is left to Him what He wants us to do. We cannot expect Him to do. We cannot go to temple, we cannot go to God and say, oh God, I am requesting you do this, you do that, I want you, please give me. We cannot. Requesting, asking is only our begging, our only desire. We only present our desire and we perform necessary action for that. To grant our desire is left to Him. So that is the Daivatra, Adhishtanam, Daivatra Panchanamam. We are not a right only to do our work, and what the Supreme Lord blesses it is His prerogative. So it is very, very difficult to get the blessings of the Supreme Lord. But our prayer and worship itself yields us enormous peace and bliss. And the grace of the Supreme Lord is available. Sometimes it comes by our unflinching faith, unflinching devotion, total purity of the mind and the heart, and with all the faith, love and devotion, but the Shraddha. Shraddhaya Agnim Samidyate, Shraddhaya Huete Vihi. Shraddham Bhagasya Murdani Vachasa Vidyamasi. By this Shraddha, all things happen, the impossible things happen by this Shraddha. And the Supreme Lord is supremely conscious, is supremely alert, supremely aware, supremely sensitive, and He knows. Sometimes we say, oh God, have you not heard my cry? Have you not seen? Don't you know my misery and my pain? But the Supreme Lord is ahead of everything, and it is only because of Him everything happens. The Supreme Lord is aware of everything. He is the one who pulls up all those who are down below, and because He is the highest of all, He knows all, He has a vision of all. He protects all His devotees. Janmantara sahasreshu tapo jnana samadhibihi naranam kshira papanam krishne bhakti prajayate. This is the Vyasa Maharshi says, after thousands of years and after many, many births, by virtue of our meditation, of our dhyan, of our love and of our tapas, and by virtue of our knowledge and devotion, all our sins are destroyed, and only after the destruction of all our sins and attaining the purity, the pure love of Sri Krishna emanates, evolves, the pure love of the Supreme Lord Yogeshwar rises within us. Mat karma krut, mat paramo, mat bhaktaha, sangavarchitaha, nirvairaha, sarvabhuteshu, yasa, mahameti pandava. So this is what Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna in the 11th chapter 55 sloka. Whoever does holy, auspicious work, beneficial acts and offers it to me, whoever has realized me to be the supreme abode, and whoever is my devotee, and whoever has abandoned attachment to all other things, and he who does not hate anybody, they all come to me. And the love and hate are the two sides of the same coin. The moment we hate somebody, our focus, our attention is drawn to some individual bodies. But when we are free from love and hate for any other person, our focus is on the Supreme Lord. So it is the those who do not have any interest in the supreme knowledge, those who do not interested in the love and devotion of the Supreme Lord, they attain the lower lives. Yata adarshe tata atme, yata swapne tata pitruloke, yata apso parivadadrushe tata gandharvaloke, jayat apayoriva brahmaloke. This again the Katha Upanishad says in the second chapter, third section, fifth mantra, just as we see ourselves in a mirror, we see, just as we experience the dream, so also is the Pitrulaka, the world of the ancestors. And just as we ourselves see as a mirror of the water, in a sheet of water, just as we see our image in a mirror, and just as we dream, it is the Pitrulaka. Our dreams indicate or similar to the world of ancestors. And just as we see our mirror image in the water, it is the Gandharvaloka. And the dance of this light and shade, light and darkness is the Brahmaloka. And so we cannot experience this Divya Loka, the world of Supreme Lord, because our sensory organs are unable to bear the brightness, the splendor of the divine Brahmaloka, the divine world of Sri Krishna, the Yogeshwar. That is why Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, you will not be able to see my true form by these human eyes. So I grant you the divine eyes to behold me. This is what is declared in the Bhagavad Gita. Indriyebhyah param mano manasa sattvam uttamam sattvadavi mahanatma mahato avyaktam uttamam. So it is very difficult to attain the supreme consciousness of the Supreme Brahman. And the better than our body organs is our mind, because the mind is the chief of our body organs. In the Indriyanam. So mind is the chief of the body organs. So mind is superior to our sensory organs, and our intellect is superior to mind. Mind does not have any intelligence. Mind is only a container of all the receptions, of all the information received from the body organs. It has no intelligence. Intelligence is a different aspect of the nature, and our consciousness is higher than the intellect, because the intellect emanates from the pure consciousness. If our consciousness itself is tainted, our intellect also becomes dull. So a pure consciousness is only the source for pure intelligence. And the Supreme Lord is higher than this pure consciousness. So, Indriyebhya Param Mano, mind is superior to Indriyas. Mano Manasa Sattvam Uttamam. And Sattvad Adi Mahanatma Mahato Avyaktam Uttamam. Avyakta tu Parapurusho Vyapako Alinga Yevachu. Yam Gyatva Muchate Jantur Amrutatvam Cha Gachati. So this is Katha Upanishad again, second chapter, third section, 8th sloka. The higher than the Avyakta is the Purusha, because Purusha has entered everywhere else. Avyakta means unmanifest. So the Supreme is Brahman, and Brahman has divided himself, has become two. Vyakta Brahman, the manifest Brahman, and the unmanifest Brahman. Manifest Brahman is all these bodies, objects, beings, all this world, all this universe that is seen, touched, felt, tasted, smelled, that has got a beginning and end. Our body is a Vyakta Brahman, our body is a manifest Brahman. But what makes it alive is the Avyakta Brahman, the Atma with the Prana and the Prajna, with the vital force and the consciousness. So the Supreme Lord is higher than both the Avyakta Brahman and the Vyakta Brahman, because the Supreme Lord is the confluence, is the source of both the manifest and the unmanifest. So he is larger than the Avyakta. And he is free from all the qualities. Purusho Vyapako Alingayevacha. He has no gender. The Supreme Lord is neither male nor female, because he himself divides himself to male and female for the creation of this world. So he is free from qualities of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. He is free from genders. He is neither the male nor the female. And one who knows the Supreme Lord as free from qualities, free from genders, as pure consciousness and bliss, as the source of both Vyakta and Avyakta, he attains supreme freedom and immortality. This is what is declared in the Katha Upanishad. So these are all the supreme truths enunciated by the Vedas and the Upanishad. So the Supreme Lord is the Nivrutatmane Namaha. He is the all, he is same everywhere. He is the Ekapade Namaha, Om Samavartaya Namaha, Om Nivrutatmane Namaha. Free from all desires and free from all intentions. And Durjyanma, he cannot be won over, because he is verily the Prana and the Prajna and the Jnana and the Ananda, and he is the Duratikramayana. He is the supreme consciousness, Parame Vyoman, which is the source and abode of all things that exist, which cannot be overtaken. And Durlabhaya Namaha, it cannot be attained. Salutations to him who is difficult to attain, because we can only from our side, we can offer our love, our devotion, we can perform the work without selfish desires and offer it to him. So there is no methodology in attaining the divinity of the. There is no method, na tapasena, na karmana, not by any tapas, not by any doing work, not by any renunciation we can attain the Supreme Lord. Only by pure love and devotion and supreme surrender we can attain unity of the Supreme Lord. Om Durgamaya Namaha. So he is difficult to attain. So Om Durgaya Namaha. Durgamaya Namaha. Om. Salutation to the Supreme Lord, who is difficult to attain. It is not attaining or becoming the Supreme Self, only that is The final moksha or liberation is the self dissolving in the infinite in Supreme Self, becoming one with the Supreme Self, total purity. When our Atma attains total purity without any attachment and without any desires, it attains supreme purity. The body is perishable. Once it dies, it dissolves in the great elements. Our body is made of air, water, fire, earth and space. And it is the Supreme Lord, the Atma, once it enters into the body, that keeps these 5 elements in one as a body. So, once the Atma leaves the body, this body in the shape of a human being, these 5 great elements, air, water, fire, earth and space, which are in the form of a human body, disintegrates. The air in the body mixes with the outer air, the water in the body evaporates, the fire in the body disappears, the earth that makes up the body, the muscles and the bones, they mix with the join with the earth, they become the ashes when it is burnt, or become one with the earth, and the space merges with the space like a jar, this akasha in a jar, when the jar is broken, becomes one with akash. So also the space within our body that makes us, that gives us the shape and form to our body, becomes one with the outer space. So the body is disintegrated. So this body is perishable. This is the magic. It is the power, supreme creative intelligence of the Supreme Lord, that He brings these 5 great elements, conjoins to make it appear like, to make it a body. The self freed from all desires and purified attains the nature of the Supreme Self. As it loses its identity, so we are identifying ourselves, the Atma, by ignorance we identify ourselves with this body that is conjured, whereas it is the conjurer. Our Atma is the one who makes up this body, and we think we are the body. It's just like the painter identifying himself with the painter. A poet identifying himself with the poem he writes. So, as it loses its identity, which is due to attachments, it is merged in the Supreme Self. Just like pure water mixing with the pure water and becoming one. Durgamaya namah. So, how can this body made out of these great elements becoming one with the infinite, become one with the imperishable? The perishable is different, the imperishable is different. So the body cannot be imperishable. The perishable body exists as long as the imperishable supports it. Om Durgaya Namaha. Om salutations to the Supreme Lord, whose path is difficult to follow. It is very, very difficult because the Supreme Lord has created this body, has created this world for the satisfaction of the desires of the embodied soul. Only by experiencing our desires, only after fulfilling our desires, we can become free from desires. Simply to say that abandon your desire is just not possible. So, the very purpose, the method, the function of all the body organs is meant to experience the qualities of objects of this world. So, to say the eyes, to tell the eyes not to see, or to tell the ears not to hear, it is just meaningless. The moment we open our eyes, we see, the ears listen, the nose absorbs all the no odors, the tongue tastes the flavors, and the mind thinks of the world. It is not possible. They are designed that way, they are made to function that way. Their form and function are only to experience this world. So only after experiencing this world of objects and bodies and beings, after knowing the futility of the Atma getting attached to this body, the realization happens. So this is only the methodology. Till then it is not possible. So for a person who is not sattvic, it is difficult to bring the mind to dwell in the aspects of the self. And this doubt that arises consequent on the death of a man, some saying it exists and others saying it does not exist. I would know this under your instructions of all the bones, this one is the third one bone. This is the Katha Upanishad sloka, first chapter, first section, 20th sloka. In this, Nachiketa asked the Yama, please give me what happens after death. So it is very, very difficult for the body to overcome the death because the body is perishable. It is bound, anything bound by time and dimension, anything bound by dimension is also bound by time and is also limited in time. So these are the very, very simple rules. And one who is not sattvic, it is not possible for him to think of spiritual knowledge. It becomes very difficult. The mind automatically runs towards the world of objects. It wants fine dresses, it wants big cars, it wants tasty food, it wants liquor, it wants the company of the opposite sex, it just wants to enjoy. That is the way the world is made, and that is the way the sense organs are made, and they are all intelligence. So unless one knows the futility, unless they have gone through all these experiences and realized its limitations, they cannot dwell their mind on spiritual knowledge. So it is very difficult to control the mind and bring it to the thinking of Atma. So it is very difficult for the even Rajasic mind to control their mind, and it is most difficult for the Tamasic mind to follow the path of peace and tranquility. They are all disturbed. And because this whole world consists of duality, the polar opposites, wherever there is truth, there is untruth, and wherever there are sinners, there are the saints, and wherever there is wealth, there is poverty, where there is ignorance, there are the knowledgeable people, and there is the need of knowledge. And the moment you attach ourselves to one, the other is waiting to attack us. So in this world of objects, bodies and beings, having different opposing qualities, having opposing different natures, it is to attain anything is most difficult. We cannot hold on to one and leave the other because they are all two sides of the same coin. So if we want to abandon, we have to abandon both the good and the bad, total abandonment. We cannot hold on to beautiful thing and forget the ugly, because ugliness is a part of that beauty. If we abandon the comfort, we have to abandon the difficulty also. So the comfort and difficulty, they follow each other. Only when there is hot weather, we enjoy the cooling of the refrigerator, cooling of the air conditioner or the fan. Only when we are tired, we enjoy the rest. Only when we are hungry, we enjoy the food. So we cannot select one and leave the other. So everything follows. Just as the relatives of the wife or the husband come along with them, and they do not come alone. All things come in group, and it is very difficult to cross over this world of objects, world of duality, world of polar opposites. This is Om Durgaya Namah. This is what the Supreme Lord has created this world, and only after crossing this world we can think of the Supreme Lord. So, having reached the proximity of the undecaying immortals, what decaying mortals who dwells in this lower region, the earth, but knows of higher goals will take delight in a long life while conscious of the worthlessness of the sensual pleasures. One who has experienced the beauty, the peace, the tranquility, the freedom of the pure, of the love and devotion, of the dhyan, of the prayer, worship and meditation of the Supreme Lord without seeking anything, that such an enlightened person, such a person who has experienced the peace and tranquility, does not want to get his mind disturbed, does not want to get involved in the travails, in the problems, in the difficulties of this world. So, having reached the proximity of the undecaying immortality, so the experiencing of a pure consciousness, which is a nectar of peace and bliss, again to experience the sensations of these perishable bodies and objects really becomes a pain. So I know that this treasure is impermanent, for that permanentity cannot be attained through impermanent things. So we cannot obtain this pure peace and tranquility of the Supreme Lord by earning, by accumulating, by possessing any amount of wealth of this world. It cannot be attained through impermanent things. Therefore did I pile up the Nachiketa fire with impermanent things. So the performing of the yajna is also indicates that we burn up. We put Purnahuti after the performing of the yajna, we perform Purnahuti. It is the indication that we burn up all these perishable things in this world and attain to purity of the Supreme Brahman. So, thereby attain the permanence. So, we burn up. So, just as we smear our body with the ashes, indicating atantam, basmantam shariram. After all, this body is going to be burnt into ashes. So, don't get attached, don't think it is permanent. Don't get attached to perishable things. That is the message of smearing our body with the ashes. So, all these things have got some meaning and remind us from time to time the impermanence and perishable nature of this body and the mind. So, for a self-realized person, the pleasures on this earth itself becomes disinteresting. Om Duravasaya Namaha. Hari Om Tatsat. We will take up in the next session. Hari Om Tatsat.